Hey PC gamers, and welcome back to the PC Gamer chat log. I am Lauren Morton.
And hey everyone, I'm Mollie Taylor.
And this week Molly and I are bringing on our associate editor Tyler Colp to talk about the state of gacha games right now, which is a topic of expertise for the two of you. I've only played like a little bit. You two are very well versed in the gacha game area, which of course are it's a label that revolves around like a style of monetization, actually, not like a genre. And we're going to get into that because there are many different genres. There are some turn-based RPGs. There is Genshin, the open world exploration RPG. There's like all sorts of different games, but then they have in common the monetization style of being a gacha game, which of course has been around for a long time, but definitely was popularized on PC most recently by Genshin Impact. I mean, truly, most people did not know what gacha games were until Genshin Impact happened. And now a lot more people know what these games are. So we're going to be talking about, where they've gone kind of since that initial like explosion, since they entered sort of like our realm, and a little bit of looking back. I think you in particular have a little historical knowledge to go with it as well.
Yay.
But before we get to that part, Molly, what have you been playing lately?
Yeah, so I have been playing my gacha game, which we'll get into. We'll get into talking about that. Everyone knows at this point, blah blah blah. Also, I'm
bonus points if you can name it off the top of your head without Molly saying which one it is. Do you watch chat log every week? Can you name the gacha game that Molly plays?
Can you name the gacha game that I've been playing every day since September? Which is terrifying. 10 months of constantly playing one game. Speaking of constantly playing one game, nothing has changed. I'm still playing Final Fantasy XIV. I am well and truly lost in the source. I have said quite a few times on this podcast at this point that it's very much an all or nothing game for me. Like it's either all I play or I ignore it. Like I pretend like it doesn't exist. Like an old
Them's MMOs, man.
Them's MMOs, and right now I'm in the all camp. I'm playing every day. Savage raids are about to come out. They will be out this week. So trying to get myself ready for that, not doing a very good job of it. I am determined this expansion to clear at least one tier. So every tier is four raids, right? The most I've ever done is 2 raids in a tier. I've never ever done all 4. This expansion, this tier, I want to clear all 4. I want to do all 4 savage raids. Goals. I believe in my ability to do it. I just don't believe in everyone else's. No, I'm kidding. I don't
throwing every friend under the bus. You guys suck.
You guys suck. I don't have a static. That is the biggest thing. I don't have a static. I've never had a static. So everything I do is like pick up groups, right? I might have like a couple friends here and there, but everything, like most of my prog will end up being done like pugging it. So that is definitely where some of the randomness can come in, right? Of how long it'll take me. But I'm really looking forward to it. I have like a renewed motivation to get into it and to do it. The last time I quit, it was because I got burned out on Savage. But it's been a little while. So I feel very ready. I feel very prepared to dive in and hopefully clear my first tier. Fingers crossed. I'm looking forward to it.
I believe in you. I have been playing a lot of Sims. I don't remember how much I talked last week about playing the new expansion for The Sims 4, the Lovestruck expansion. I definitely have written a few things on the website about it that you can find at pcgamer.com/the-sims-4. Opinions about Lovestruck in general. The new date system is neat. It's much better than the base game date system where it's just like invite somebody on a date, pick a venue, and then it gives you goals, and they're just like generic kind of date goals, and you don't really get to pick them. So like, I don't know, what if you just want to go on a nice date and it's like kiss them and you don't want to or can't, or you have or you have the unflirty trait or something and it's like flirt with them and like I can't. So in the new date system, the expansion, it lets you like pick goals, like the kinds of interactions you want to do. Like, do you want to just like do friendly social interactions? Do you want to get drinks? Do you want to woohoo? Like, is this a hookup date or not? So you can have lots of like different ways to have like a successful date without just conforming to one like particular style, which is really nice. There's lots of other stuff in the expansion. Played around with all of it, wrote about that on the site. But then as I was doing some build mode stuff in The Sims 4, like trying to build a penthouse, I got annoyed with The Sims 4. As you know, I've been talking about going back to The Sims 3. It was the cabinet swatches that done it to me this time.
Ah, yes.
You put down the counters, the nice Harbinger like base game counters. They're a little bit modern feeling. They go in a penthouse. You pick the blue swatch, then you go to get the cabinets that match it. Same cabinet set, Harbinger cabinets. You put down the blue swatch that matches it. Guess what? They don't actually match. The colors of blue, just slightly different. The colors of the handle hardware, also different. Why do the cabinets have like dark silver handle hardware and the like counters have white handle hardware? Tell me why.
A cardinal sin.
It's just like, why can't shit just match, man? Why can't stuff just match? So I was like, I'm fed up here. I'm going back to The Sims 3, where there's the create a style tool, where you can have a color picker and a material picker. You can change all sorts of parts of like every object. And so I spent the weekend playing The Sims 3 and had a great time. I had a very good time. There are some things you can't achieve as much in the build mode of The Sims 3. There are some limitations, but like the fact that I can change the color and the materials and customize like every object so much makes up for that so much.
So much
like,
better.
It brings me so much joy to be able to like fully customize every piece. Like, even though there's not like, you know, there's 5 base game cabinet styles. Like I'm stuck on the cabinets for kitchens. Like how many cabinets are there in base game Sims 4? I don't think there's more than 5.
Idea.
You know, I have so many expansions at this point, I can't tell you for sure. But yeah, it's great. And I've actually spent a little bit of time in live mode in Sims 3 too. And I don't have fully formed thoughts on that, but I am playing it and I am enjoying it, which big deal. As we know,
huge.
I don't live mode. I am a build only girl, but I've been having like kind of a good time. I like how the open world works and the quests work in The Sims 3, so I'm going to keep playing it and have some thoughts on that later on comparing them. And if you should go back to play The Sims 3, like for real. And that, long story short, is what I did, what I've been playing recently. So let's go grab Tyler Colp to talk about you guys' special game genre. Gotchas. Okay, Tyler, you have wound up being the victim that is coming in to talk to us about what gacha games are like right now.
Oh, that's a mean word to use.
This is a nice podcast and we treat people well.
We're not victims, okay?
I'm not saying of gacha, I'm saying he's the victim of this conversation.
Okay,
yeah.
I thought
you're projecting. And so now I know what you really think.
No.
I think I'd only be the victim if you made me like name every Genshin character or something, because there's too many.
Do it immediately, right faster.
Name them.
So many.
Every Hoyo character.
Oh, you play Genshin? Name 5 of them.
Name all the Genshins. Right.
I think I might actually be able to name 5 Genshin characters. Maybe.
I could easily do that, yeah.
I hope so. So how did you wind up here? You two are both sort of gacha game pilled for a while now, right? I only played a little bit of Genshin, so I can only bring a little bit of this conversation. Tell me about what you've been doing, what you've been playing.
Yeah, go for it, Tyler.
Well, I don't play Genshin anymore. I kind of like gave up on that game because I feel like the story in it is kind of a bore, but I do play Honkai Star Rail all the time, and that game is so much better, to me at least. It's like they describe it as like I think a space comedy or something. Like it's basically like a space opera, but also a comedy, which is the best part about that game. But it's like turn-based, and it gives you the same kind of like, I don't know, the thrill of Genshin combat with all the big animations and ultimates and cool, like, you know, just like really cool character designs, but you don't have to, you know, be extremely fast at it and stuff, which is nice. It's also really nice on the phone. I think you played it on the phone quite a bit, right, Mollie?
A lot, yeah.
But it's really good on PC. Like, I think it's really easy to just like do dailies and stuff and you know, like do some of the story stuff. I think the story is a lot better than Genshin, but that's kind of my gacha game at the moment. I don't usually I don't try to juggle multiple ones because I'm not that broken.
Yeah. That would be very difficult.
Yeah.
Mollie, what are you playing?
Yeah, so right now, anyone who listens to this podcast or has listened to this podcast since September of last year, my gacha game of choice has been Nikkei, Goddess of Victory, which is like a post-apocalyptic third-person shooter. I say third person, it's like a rails shooter kind of almost. From Shift Up, the developer that made Stellar Blade. Before that, I was playing a lot of Honkai and played a lot of Genshin as well. I started playing gacha games, I want to say, like 2015, maybe. It's been like almost 10 years now. I started playing like rhythm gachas on my phone. That's how I got into gacha games. And then from there, kind of just spiraled.
Yeah. Okay, so when you guys are saying gacha games, what exactly are we talking about? Because this is a weird genre where like the thing that we're talking about is monetization strategy, right? Like that is the unifying feature. It's not a gameplay genre. It's not, because Honkai Star Rail is a turn-based RPG. Genshin was like an action like RPG.
Open world.
Yeah, and so they all have very different gameplay, but what we're talking about, the unifying thing, is the way that you are trying to unlock characters with these, like, they have different names across games. I guess they're banners in Genshin, and then they're like whatever in Zenless.
Something.
Yeah, it's the randomization, the like attempting to get characters. I guess one of you guys described that better than I just did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's basically just
like
rolling the dice. Rolling the dice, gambling for PNGs.
I think characters. A lot of like the recurring theme that you'll find across a lot of gacha games is that they're very character focused. Like they're very like character centric. The designs are usually very out there, or they're basically designed to make you go, oh my god, I love the way they look, or I love the way they like act. Like I want to collect them.
Each one has like its own fandom. Like that is the point, you know?
Yeah. Each game and each character, it feels like.
Each game and each character, it's like the K-pop of video games, right? Everyone has their bias, and that's like the whole selling point of the gacha, right? Like maybe you get into it because, like, for me it was because I liked rhythm games, right? And I wanted rhythm games to play on my phone, but then eventually I got like attached to the characters, and then I would want to roll for certain characters. And, you know, some games do it differently. Rhythm games tend to stick with the same batch of characters, and then they will like re-release different iterations of them. So they'll have
because some games will do like skins and stuff too for them.
Yeah, some will do skins, some will do like cards. So, you know, Project Sekai is the big rhythm gacha game on mobile right now, and there's like 5 different groups, I think, and then they all have like different members within each group, and then they'll run banners for those characters, but with like really pretty artwork, basically. And then, you know, like Hoyo's games, and with Nikkei, it's more about introducing new characters, right? And then occasionally maybe old characters get skins and stuff.
Yeah, and the whole point is, no matter what kind of game, like gameplay you've got going on in a gacha game, the whole point is like they get you in free, right? It's a freemium structure. And then once you're in and you're playing, you want to add to your roster of characters, and you initially do that probably with the free currency you've been given to get you into the game. It takes like X amount of the special in-game currency to like get a, like, it's like a pack of cards. You open it every time, and it's like, what's in it? Like, maybe there's a character, maybe it's just more currency, maybe it's whatever. And they want you to keep buying packs of cards, as it were, until you run out of free ways to get the currency to buy them.
It's waifu Magic the Gathering.
It is. And like, Mollie, you're talking about mobile, different mobile gacha games, but the way that they got really popular on PC was a few years back because of Genshin Impact, right? There's no debate.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I know gacha games have existed. They were really popular elsewhere, but they arrived in the Western PC gaming market with Genshin.
I would say, like in an official capacity, definitely. Unofficially, people have been playing gacha games on their PC for a long time. A lot of people use BlueStacks.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, there's like the phone emulators,
Yeah, which I think is like an Android emulator, and people for ages, even if it was just to like re-roll, like re-rolling is like super common in gacha games where you'll make new accounts and play the beginning of the game to get to like the cheap,
because they usually give you free rolls at the beginning, so you're trying to get like a 5-star character or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's like re-rolling, very, very common, and people would quite often use like BlueStacks for that, or they would use BlueStacks to maybe run their dailies. So even like in an unofficial capacity, people have been playing gacha games on PC for a long time, but officially, I would definitely say Genshin was like the one that kind of started to popularize it.
It hit at a really like nice time between like, because like obviously we're never gonna get a Breath of the Wild on PC, like that. So and that's essentially what the right structure amount of time after it. Genshin. Yeah, I think people really were like gravitated towards its open world and its like art style. Very like I mean obviously it's like anime, but it's just like kind of I sort of like Studio Ghibli, just like the Breath of the Wild games. So
that was the initial thing that drew people to it for sure was, oh my gosh, it has this like cell shaded style. It has this open world thing with the climbing system and whatever. And they're like, it's gacha Zelda game. But in the end, it feels like it beat those allegations though, right? That was the very first reaction. But then
that was just the initial reaction.
Yeah, a total phenomenon. And that is what put it like gacha as a concept became like, I don't know. I don't want to say household name, not like in the rest of culture, but
it became more mainstream
on this team
for sure.
it became much more mainstream.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who will play Genshin that maybe wouldn't even call themselves like a gamer or something, right? Like they're just like, I'm just playing like doing my Genshin dailies.
So you think so?
It got to that status. Yeah, I definitely think so.
Yeah,
and partially thanks also to the cross-platform and like cross-save stuff that HoYo did initially.
They introduced
Genshin,
that like 2 years ago, I want to say. That came like quite a bit.
It was pretty
after.
early.
It was 2021 actually, maybe. It was maybe 2021. There was a gap. I think Genshin came out like September 2020, and then Cross Save came out maybe like around a year later. It was about a year between, because I remember I started Genshin on PlayStation and then I didn't want to start it again on PC. So eventually when they brought the cross save, that's what brought me back to Genshin, was being able to play it on PC, which was nice.
Did you guys both get into Genshin like when it was blowing up in popularity initially?
Yeah, I did, day one, baby.
Yep.
Day
it looked really cool. I didn't even, I was like, I don't really even care about the gacha part. I just never played it. I want to play like a Zelda game basically on PC.
Yeah. That was also kind of my thing, was like, oh, waifu Breath of the Wild. Like, that sounds,
exactly.
That sounds kind of cool, like an anime Breath of the Wild. I had like just graduated university and I was unemployed. I was between university and
you were
this
particularly susceptible.
Yeah, so I was like, it was like ripe and ready. So yeah, I was a day one Genshin and I still think that game is really good. I don't play it anymore because I find it's very good, yeah, it's very good. It's just very time demanding.
It is.
Yeah. Probably one of the most demanding gacha games I've ever played in terms of just time, and it's not great on mobile. It's okay on mobile, but it's not great on mobile. And
what makes it that way more than other ones that you've played?
I think a lot of other
are the daily activities more time consuming themselves.
The dailies are more time consuming. There's a lot more like exploration involved. It's a lot more of your time and it's a lot more of your energy as well. Like a lot of gacha games, it's something that they learn quite well with Honkai Star Rail, I think. You can auto a lot of stuff, or you can like quick battle stuff when you're like overpowered for it and you're just trying to get through your dailies. There's like, they often make allowances to kind of make the process a bit quicker, whereas Genshin is very much like you're going in and you're playing
you're like running to a place to do something, where like Honkai it's like a menu option kind of thing, which I mean people love Genshin for that reason, that it's not a menu option and that you get to go places. So it's definitely like based on taste there, but I prefer, like, I want to just auto battle this stuff. I don't want to actually, like, not that even Genshin's hard, but it's like I just want to, like, get these done. which
I
is
want to do
a
it while I'm like
hilarious
cooking
thing
my
about
dinner
gacha games.
or something, right? I just want to be
Yeah.
able to like, I want to be able to cook my dinner, or I want to be able to just be
We're
doing
like, we love
something
gacha
else.
games, but I don't want to actually play them.
I don't
Like,
want to
Yeah, I don't
play
want to
it.
play it.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I gotta fill
I
some
just want it
bars and then move
injected
on.
directly
Yeah.
into me. Give me the characters into my eyeballs. I did also play Genshin right when it launched, like, or in the first week or something like that, and I was hooked on it for like maybe a couple weeks until I hit that wall that I think any person that's not going to get like into the gacha game format probably hits, where like I'd done a lot of exploration. Like you said, that part was really a draw. It very much was like it was like other games. Like it's not just it sort of shed the mobile game accusations. Like it didn't, it was harder to compare that and just be like, oh, this is a trash mobile game, which is a thing that people would say about things like that coming to PC. But it was like
Yeah.
it felt more like Breath of the Wild and like exploring than it did like some mobile game that people want to dunk on, right? And then I think I hit the wall when I realized that like I wasn't always into all the dailies, and B, the multiplayer wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. I was hoping the multiplayer would be a little bit more, running around doing lots of stuff together, and it's pretty restricted, right? It's still that way. I think there are only certain activities you can do, and you don't really make progress together either.
It's
right?
sort of like you're hanging out, but you can't really do anything. Yeah.
And since you're just trying to play it while you're cooking, you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't play Genshin while you're like stood over the stove, man. That's not happening. I think
Dangerous.
it's so dangerous. I think for me with Genshin, and it's a larger problem with gacha games in general, is obviously like progression is very heavily time gated. Sometimes it's also like money gated as well, but like paywalled. But quite often it is like very time gated, right? So I found that like building a team was very time gated, and that is a problem in so many gacha games. That is not a Genshin exclusive
That's
problem.
pretty much where they always get you. It's like if you want to do this like end game stuff, you need a team composition, and you need to think about how the characters interact, and then this one that would make it a lot easier, they're on the banner this week. Like, how much money do you want to spend? How that's kind of how they work.
Yeah. So a lot of us got into Genshin when that came out, like a lot of people on this team for sure, at least for a hot minute. And we did score that pretty highly when Jan Steven Messner, formerly of this team, reviewed it, I think at 84%. And then that was a phenomenon. It made gacha really popular. Suddenly HoYoverse is like skyrocketing and like making at least three other games. I don't know if they've got yet more in development now that I am not paying attention to.
I think they just trademarked a new name for like a gacha game. I think it's rumored to be their Animal Crossing, so that will be bad for me.
No. Yes. Oh no.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are they gonna get me this time?
Waifu Animal Crossing is coming, apparently.
Yeah, they have quite a few games in their catalog. They have Honkai Impact 3rd, which was the game that preceded Genshin. Yeah,
right.
And then they have Honkai Star Rail, which again is their like space opera turn-based RPG. They have Tears of Themis, which is one that
I don't even know about
as many people know about this. It's like a otome like visual novel dating sim style game, which I think is why not as many people know about it. I'm gonna be so for real. I did not know about it until I was in Singapore for Zenless Zone Zero, and they were like, "Did you guys know about Tears of Themis? Did you guys know Tears of Themis existed?" And I was like, "No."
Yeah.
So that's another one, and then of course Zenless Zone Zero, which just released like a month or two ago.
Yeah, very new. And so Tyler, then you reviewed Honkai very highly, 90%, loved it,
90%,
still love it. And then with Zenless Zone Zero, not as much love, it doesn't feel like. We didn't score it very highly. Have you guys felt that way about it as well?
Yeah. I haven't played a lot of it, but that's kind of where I am, and it feels like that's sort of where most people are with that game. It's like kind of mid. I don't know.
It's
is it the style of game, because it's very like it's like run based. It's not
Yeah. It's I mean, like, the
run-based.
gameplay itself is, like, very action-y. It's sort of like
Mhm.
Genshin, but it's probably veering
Yeah.
like, closer towards Honkai, or, like, yeah, Honkai 3rd, so it's just a lot more, like,
Mhm.
character action type of game. I mean, you're still switching between characters and stuff, but that's sort
Right.
of the core of the game, but it's not an open world. Yeah, it is sort
Mhm.
of run
It's like a
based,
roguelite. It's like
sort of.
it's like pulling tons of different modes in from different places, and then like the main bulk of it is like a roguelite mode where you're like hopping through TVs, and like stylistically it's very
Yeah,
cool.
it's got a style. I mean, it's definitely a MiHoYo game, but it's just I feel like it just doesn't quite coalesce together. Like, there's so many different, like, modes of play that just doesn't, like, all I want to do is the combat. That's the fun part, and there's so much stuff around it that isn't that interesting to me. Part of it is, like, I don't really love the tone of the game because it's a lot more, like, wacky, and I'm sure that's, like, what people really like, but it's like a type of humor that is not the same for me as, like, Honkai, that doesn't really work for me as much. But it's, yeah, I don't know. Like, how do you feel about the character designs too? Because I feel like that's also a thing that people are not as into. I mean, I guess they do have, like, the wolf dude, like they have, like, a big bear guy as well, so it is kind of cool.
I
But
like Lycan.
yeah,
I think he's cool. I like him. Yeah, I think the character designs are cool. Like
yeah,
I personally I like them. I especially am quite a big fan of the housekeeping squad, the one that is like
right.
Yeah, yeah,
Lycan,
yeah.
Rena. I forget who else is in that, but like those guys, love that squad. I like that it's kind of split up by squad and they all have like kind of share similar aesthetics. I think that is very cool.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't know why people aren't as keen. I think personally I'm like quite a big fan. But I guess when you're looking at it compared to something that's maybe more like high fantasy like Genshin, or something that's like a little more like fantasy sci-fi like Honkai, I think a lot of the designs are maybe more, not even more grounded, because there's a fucking wolf and a bear
they're
in
sort
it.
of
I don't know.
urban, like, because like, you run around
Yeah,
a city. It's, yeah, it's a little bit more.
urban is
Yeah,
the word that got tossed
Sci-fi
around a
thing, yeah.
lot when I was like chatting with like the Hoyo devs. The urban is the word that was like getting thrown around. It's very very urban vibes,
yeah. I mean, this
and
game has, like,
I like
trap
it.
beats in it. Like, it's like, this is like,
Yeah, it's like
yeah,
electronic music. Yeah,
yeah.
I love the music in Zenless Zone Zero.
It's
But yeah,
really
I
good.
don't know.
That is, like, my favorite
It's
part, I think.
it's great, but yeah, it's kind of a shame that it doesn't seem to be hitting quite as well
I
It
was
doesn't
as
seem like it.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was if it was about the gameplay or if it's a sense of exhaustion overall, because you guys both said I
it's
can't
definitely
juggle
the
more than
former.
one of these games.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I
I
Like
definitely
think
I
think
was
it's just
wondering if
the
it's like
game.
you guys already have like your like game right now and it's like okay, but I'm not
yeah,
going to go play another one unless it's better. And I guess really that it's both things really. It's not better,
yeah,
so it can't pull you from
Yeah,
Nikkei or from Honkai right now.
yeah.
it's
I
definitely
But
think
both.
the
I think
big one too is that there's a lot of people who play Genshin, and they, like, because even with Honkai Star Rail, there's a lot of people who wouldn't want to play that because they're busy with
yeah.
Genshin.
yeah, because they're so Genshin pilled at this point. I think
Yeah,
like I think gacha players are a lot like MMO players, and a lot
yeah,
like extraction shooter players, where like a new
Mhm.
one will release and
And everybody tries it.
immediately, yeah, we're like, we want this, we're gonna give it a go, and it either hooks you in immediately or you like go back to the one that you were playing
yeah,
before it released, right? And it's not like an indictment on these games. It's not saying that these games are bad. If I could feasibly play Honkai and Nikkei like together, I absolutely would. But I sometimes I'm like there 15 minutes before reset on Nikkei, and I'm like, fuck, I'm like, I need to do my dailies. I haven't done my dailies yet. So can't go do that. But yeah, I think it is just one of those things where we're willing to try lots of different ones. You know, like one called Reverse 1999
oh
came
yeah, I
out
forgot about that one. Yeah,
earlier this year, and like and a bunch of my friends tried that. I wasn't really interested, but a bunch of my friends tried that. Some of them stuck with it, some of them didn't. You know, you have there's like another one that released this year as well, I think, that a bunch of
Wuthering
people want to
Waves or
try.
whatever, right? Is that what you're
Oh,
thinking
Woowa
of?
came
Yeah,
out, Wuthering Waves came out as well, which is
yeah.
like the
It's
Genshin
very
clone,
Genshin. Yeah,
Yeah.
quote unquote. Yeah.
Wasn't it Tower of Fantasy that was before that even? I feel
Tower
like
of
yes.
that one
Fantasy. Yeah.
that
The one
one
everyone
the like
forgot.
Yeah.
that the initial popularity on that one felt like it lasted a little bit longer, and then
I
like
don't
Wuthering
even think
Waves
it
was
had
shorter. No,
It
no,
never had
we're
it, but I
driving
think people were
backwards.
just like, "Whoa, they're making like their own like Genshin game. I gotta try
Yeah,
this."
it's like,
Right.
they're making a Genshin game. That's
Yeah,
cool. And then just never acknowledged it ever again. I think we were like, quite a few of my friends are still playing Wuthering Waves.
yeah, people are into that.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
people seem to be down with
It also
WoW.
is extremely Genshin. Like even the like
Mhm.
UI looks exactly the
It
same.
is, yeah, very sim, but it's got like some really cool like parkour kind
Yeah,
of
the combat and
movement in
stuff is a
it.
little bit more like responsive to me. It feels a little more satisfying than Genshin. It doesn't have like a stamina management thing that you always have to do with
Mhm.
Genshin, which is nice. But yeah, it
Yeah.
does have like open. It's open world, right? Like it's a
Yeah,
similar
it is also
thing.
open
Okay, that's
world.
what I
Yeah.
thought.
I was wondering if like MiHoYo are the only ones successfully operating in this space. So I'm glad that Molly, you are into Nikkei right now. Like, and
I'm going
obviously,
to I'm going to bat for Shift Up. I absolutely will go to bat for Shift Up. Nikkei is great. It is. I feel like I have to put this asterisk on it every single time I talk about it. It is a little bit lewd. It
It
is a
is a
little bit
horny
like,
game, but you can.
it is a little bit of a horny game. If you're looking at it, like, if you're not the one actively playing it and you're looking at it, you're like, what the hell is this? Like
you posted a
you
clip in chat one time that involved jiggling, and I was
It's
like, I
got
was
some
on the
physics happening.
floor.
Yeah,
there are some physics happening. They're definitely kind of pushing a little bit with like the boundaries of what they're allowed to do within the confines of their age rating right now. In the last
Okay.
few events, that is definitely something that has been happening. It's something that I'm trying to ignore because because I like the game for the gameplay and I like the game for the story. And yeah, like obviously they make hot characters, but it's like for me it's like a quarter of the reason why I play it, right? But yeah, I think uh Nikkei is like top 10 in revenue. I think I should have
it's
pulled
up
this.
there. Yeah, it's pretty
It's
popular.
one of, yeah, it's quite a popular one, and especially on PC as well, right? They released a PC client like a few months after the game launched originally, and most people prefer the PC version. Most people think it plays better on PC. It does play better on PC. It's like a really, for me, it's a really really fun game to play on PC. I think it's great. I love it. I love shooting things with giant robot soldier women. It's fantastic.
Tyler, have you branched out of MiHoYo verse at all?
I have
HoYoverse, I
dabbled
guess.
in like yeah, Wuthering Waves, Tower Fantasy. None of these games really stick for
Mhm.
me. I haven't tried Nikkei, but I haven't. I don't know. I haven't been brave enough to go to venture into the physics lands of that game. But I have. I want to try Zenless Zone Zero again, maybe like as they put more heroes out. Like I still probably will dabble in that. The one thing that's have you noticed also that like MiHoYo has a PC launcher now? Like they have like a launcher with all their games.
Does,
Yeah,
yes.
which is kind of like probably bad now for me, just to, like have easy access to all of them at
They're
once.
all right there.
Yeah, I the one that's sort of interesting that's coming out soon that I did play a preview of is the Arknights Genshin like game Enfield because it has a
Yes.
whole like tower or not tower but like base building thing now. So like you can
And
do
that's
Oh,
coming to PC as
yeah,
well,
and that's
right?
coming
That
to
is,
PC. Yep.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's sort of like
Just,
I don't know any of those like building games, but like factory building games. But I know it's like sort of like I don't think it's like Factorio, but it's like I forget the names of these games, but it's very similar to those. If you like
okay.
those types of games, but it also has like I think it's like it's sort of a mixture of turn based and like Genshin combat, like action combat, but it's sort of like you can pause it and then do like special like spells and stuff like that because that world is a lot more like bleak and it's sort of I guess sort of dark fantasy. Arknights really
Mhm.
blends a lot of stuff. It has like urban stuff as well. So, but that game looks kind of interesting. I don't think it has a release date yet, but there's been some like betas.
yeah,
Got it.
for sure. So I've pulled up the revenue for
Hmm.
gacha games because I'm intrigued. So every month there's like they always do like a revenue chart for gacha games by region as well. So unsurprisingly, Honkai and Genshin, a pretty neck and neck. Honkai in China, very, very popular, it
Yeah,
seems.
that makes
Incredibly
sense.
popular. And then you have Naruto Mobile is popping off in China, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
And
didn't
then
even know that
there's
was a thing.
I didn't even know that was a thing either. That was like, I think if you weren't playing rhythm gacha games on mobile back in like the 2010s, you were probably playing an anime.
Yeah.
Like you
It
were
definitely
playing
makes
like,
sense. Yeah.
yeah, it was like Grand Blue gacha game or like
Yep.
Fate Order gacha game
Fate
or
Order,
Bleach
yep.
gacha game.
Fire
Yeah, it was
Emblem.
like
Fire Emblem.
yeah, Fire Emblem.
That was the
gacha
only
game.
one I was aware of before Genshin.
Me too. I
happened,
think
was
that was
the
the only
Fire
one I
Emblem
heard.
mobile
Fire
game.
Emblem. I was like, wait, isn't that's a gotcha game? But yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, there's a few on here. Arknights is also on here.
Yeah, Arknights is pretty
Reverse
popular.
1999.
That's like a
It's on
tower
here.
defense game, which is kind of fun.
Yes, it is.
Mm.
Blue Archive is also on here, which is kind of Nikkei-ish in its concept, I think, of it's kind of like lewd, horny game, I think. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that. Oh my god.
Odds are good.
Yeah, we're talking about gotcha games.
Yeah, that's true. Fire Emblem Heroes is still on here. Brown Dust 2, which is also a horny adjacent.
That is a name. Brown Dust.
Brown Dust. There's also
That's its name. That's it.
That
Brown
sounds
Dust,
made up.
Yeah.
Okay. Guess, but okay.
There's also a Chinese one called Love and Deep Space, which I've never heard of before. I wonder if that one's on PC.
Lots of options.
Yeah.
I guess, where do you guys feel like this genre is at for us right now? Because, like, as acknowledged, this precedes like the popularity of Genshin on PC. There's like, this has been a thing for a long time. Gacha games are, but I feel like there's, at least for us, like, this is new, this is different. Like, we're kind of experiencing like the way that it's going to be changed by getting really popular on PC. I guess, where do you guys feel like these games are as a whole right now? Are there things that like need to be done differently, or that like nobody's doing and you want to see someone try, that kind of stuff?
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I think we're definitely going to be getting more gacha games on PC. I think developers have realized, especially, you know, kind of thanks to MiHoYo as well, I think developers have realized that like these games do quite well on PC. I think I've spoken before about how I really appreciate having the option to either play it more seriously at my desk or be able to take it with me portably, right? Like, I've spoken about how much I appreciate that. And I do think we're going to see more like official PC ports, I guess. Like, no more BlueStacks. People actually having PC launchers for these things would be nice. I mean, we still haven't gotten into the fact that, like, you know, gacha's like monetization is kind of predatory and it's a bit shitty. Like, we will get into that, but I think there's just going to be more. I think that's what's going to happen, because you can take any genre and you can just like stuff gacha in there. You make compelling enough characters and you can just like shove a gacha right into anything.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to get even bigger. It's like, especially when we were just talking about like the MiHoYo, the rumored like Animal Crossing game, like stuff like that. There's so many different genres that have been sort of untapped by the gacha game like force. But like, I think it's like hitting it at the right time. Reminds me a lot of like the explosion of like all the like mobile games, like the 2010s ish, that people were really getting into. Like, I feel like it's similar to that, of like, it's on PC, but it's like also, you know, you have the same progression on like, it's like your progression like carries over on a phone. I think the other thing that's really big about gacha games that also is like the right time is like, so like I was talking about like fandoms, like, you know, growing around these games, but also these characters. I feel like that is just such a big thing, especially now. I'm thinking of like Marvel, right? Like, there's like so many different like things that are trying to make you have a like, trying to like, they're fishing for fandoms like for every single thing they release. And I think like gacha games nail that usually. Like, that's why they're so big. I mean, obviously you're seeing people play like Wuthering Waves and they're like devoted to these characters that I've like never heard of, and they're like, they came out a month ago. So Yeah, I feel like it's just like gonna get bigger and bigger. Yeah,
It's you, Mollie. You're the one.
I'm part of the problem. I have like a stupid amount of like gacha game merchandise. There's like a bunch behind me as well. I am part of the problem. I'm the sucker that's dedicating my life to these JPEGs.
Yep. It's yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned fandom, Tyler, because I think you're totally right. Like as you're referencing, I'm thinking about like why didn't these like catch on here earlier, like in the 2010s, like you said? And I think it's because we had our own mobile game explosion, like the North American market, and the design philosophy around them was super different. We saw a lot of mobile games that were based on energy systems, and like buying consumable objects. Like that was the core ethos of a lot of freemium mobile games here around like the first explosion of smartphones. Like that's when these things took off, right? And like you said, this is a totally different strategy. This is really character based. Like the monetization is tied very heavily to like wanting the character, you know, wanting to outfit them with new stuff or like gear them up, and not just like it's sort of the
and like releasing these like they're all like playing on these genres that are familiar, you know, like everybody a lot of people played Breath of the Wild, so when Genshin came out, it's like, oh, I already understand, like I run around and like open chests and do little puzzles, but I also have characters that I can get really into. So I think it just like completely lines up with what the interests are now. And like there's so many, like the fact that like even Honkai is like, you know, turn-based, and then you have all these action games. Like it's like a lot of these really, really popular genres that people want to just play, that we don't get a lot of like necessarily in like just regular games. Like how many really huge turn-based games have there been recently other than like a Persona? So I feel like it's a really popular thing.
You know, I joked about gacha games being like the K-pop of video games, but I do wonder if there's some like very, very vague link between like the popularization of K-pop in the West and gacha games kind of blowing up as well, right? Because like K-pop started blowing up.
Is.
Yeah, because like K-pop started blowing up in the West like what, like 2015? I'm not trying to be a hipster. I was into K-pop in 2009. I was there first. But I think it started to blow up like around, I want to say like 2015, 2016 was when it started coming into the West, right? And then
which I still think is it really lines up with like fandoms becoming so huge in the West too around these kind of things.
And like dedicating your like everything, dedicating your like your wallpaper screen, dedicating your like merchandise.
People have like TikTok fan accounts, right? Like this is they're making edits. Yeah, it's definitely the thing now.
Yeah, like Tyler, you joked about Marvel, but that's the next thing for sure, because that fandom already is so character centric, and like knowing the nuances of different variations of a character,
and they have billions of like skins or different versions of the characters they can do. Yeah,
is there not already a Marvel gacha game?
I thought there was one, but I'm not sure if it like was that big.
I'm sure there is some kind of freemium character based Marvel game, whether it's like gacha game in style as we know it, I don't know.
If anything, there's definitely crossovers for different other games, but that's all I know of.
Yeah, Marvel Rivals just came out. We joked about that a couple weeks ago. What is Marvel Rivals though? It has nothing to do with anything.
It's not a gacha game, but it does have characters.
It's a hero shooter.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Ignore me then. Totally.
It's a hero shooter. Sans. You could totally gacha. I mean, you could turn hero shooters into a gacha. I don't think people would be happy about that though.
No.
Because that is ultimately
the relationship to balance in a hero shooter.
A lot of gacha games kind of try and I think firmly stay in PvE territory, or they will dabble in PvP. Like Nikkei has PvP.
AFK Journey, I think, was a sort of popular game recently, and that game has PvP, I believe. So
yeah, like there's like PvP in gacha games, but I think they tend to kind of not.
They tend to be the kind of thing where it's like, if you're like a whale or someone who spends a lot of money, that's where you're going to have fun. Nobody else will.
Yeah. Right. It invites pay to win super easily, right? Like, how do you even avoid that when you're talking about a PvP game and you're paying?
And it kind of seems to exist for that reason. It's like, here, have your power fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about monetization then. You guys brought it up a little bit earlier because that's the underlying part of all of this. These weren't popular here for a long time. We've had like literal legal battles in the US over like loot boxes, over other things, like about different kinds of monetization that we think we are or aren't okay with. And frankly, gacha games really, they're dangerous. They can be bad for people. Like, and they've like gotten popular here all of a sudden. It's like how we weren't ready for it, despite already arguing about so many other types of weird monetization. I guess, how are you guys feeling about that part?
And obviously, you know, I will say Hoyo is very bad for this, where they will put a banner out for a character, right? And they'll be like, oh, look at this character, look how cool this character is. And then the banner is over and you don't know when that character is going to
They do not tell you. Yeah.
They do not tell you. They don't have like a separate banner where they all go into after they've like debuted. They just
occasionally disappear. They will, but generally no.
Yeah. Like,
and then you have the other problem too, where a lot of these games are like, you got the character, but I mean, if you really want them to be that good, you need to get their weapon or their like light cone or like some extra thing.
Or you need to pull multiple copies.
Right,
of
or
them.
You need to get like multiple copies of them. Yeah.
Yeah,
they're definitely specifically designed for you to feel like you need to keep rolling for more things.
Now, that false scarcity is like a big part of it, like you said, Molly.
And I think that's my biggest problem with HoYoverse's games is how they gate their characters. I think that is what has made me stick with Nikkei as long as I have, is they do have limited units. They have limited units. They're running limited units now that if you don't pull them on their banner, they do not come back until like next year, basically. But a lot of the time, their standard characters, once their event has concluded, they go straight into like the standard banner. They go straight into the standard banner.
I think Arknights does that as well.
Yeah, I think they operate quite similarly. Nikkei has like a wish list on its standard banner as well, where if you get an SSR, which is like a 5-star, if you get an SSR, it is guaranteed to be one of the characters that you have on your wish list. So it's like
that's cool.
So the way that works, the only ones, there's like one like group that isn't, you aren't able to wishlist them because they're like the ultra powerful ones.
Of course,
that's
there
like
is.
That's like the little bit of like randomness to it. But for the most part, I really like the way Nikkei does its characters. I don't agree with the fact that they have literally just thrown 6 limited units at us at once because they introduced 2 brand new ones and then reran the 4 that they did last year. Don't love that. But apart from that, it is one of the things that I think has made me stick with it for so long. But that doesn't mean to say, I'm not saying that this is a good thing. It's that FOMO, right? It's that if you don't pull this character, and then pull their weapon, like, it's not viable. And then you get to end game when team compositions become more important and
you have to have multiple teams. You gotta have more characters. Yeah.
And that's where the pressure to, I guess, like, spend starts coming in. And, you know, back in the 2010s, we were kind of fortunate on mobile with that. We were usually like a year behind. If you played like on a worldwide server, you were like a year behind. So you knew all of the events like a year in advance.
Yeah. That happens to Arknights now.
So you were like, I want this character that's not going to be out for another 7 months. I have 7 months to save. But obviously these days it's like, I don't know who's coming next. Like,
right. And they just surprise you and it's like, oh, I can't save up. I got to buy money, or like, you know, I have to spend money to actually get these, like, this currency to roll for them.
Right. Yeah, okay, so when you're talking about saving up, you're talking about like grinding in-game currency.
So you can always try to, you can get the currencies to roll for characters generally in all these games by playing a lot, because that's the other half of it. They want you to be, you know, on, like, in the game constantly. But yeah.
That's the other thing that makes it so fundamentally different from the earlier era of North American mobile games is those games didn't want to be played. They wanted you to put it down or pay to keep playing. And as you say, these games actually do want you to be playing all the time and grinding. They just have other ways of extracting cash.
Right. They keep like a trickle of free currency, and so you're like you have the carrot on the stick, and then there's a banner you rolled a few times, now you need more currency, you got to buy it, everything.
probably you too, Tyler. I spent, money on
I have to, yeah.
gacha games. Yeah, I probably spent like, I don't know. It's only in the triple digits still.
Same for me, yeah.
Yeah,
It's nothing
like
insane.
Triple digits still.
Yeah, but it's like spread across every gacha game I've ever played in the last
for me
9
it would be
years.
mostly Honkai, but yes, it would, yeah.
Yeah, like every gacha game I played across the last 9 years, probably still like only in the triple digits.
Yeah.
Which, looking at you, Warframe, Star Citizen, all you bitches, don't come for me.
Destiny
for
2. We
playing my
know some
waifu
things
game.
about our Destiny 2 players on this team.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, don't come for me for rolling for my waifus when you're here looking at like mechs and spaceships. I don't know how Warframe works. Your frames and your ships, I don't want to hear it. Because right, like you look at some of these other games like Star Citizen, like Warframe, where they're not random, but they still require a lot of money.
Yeah.
Potentially, right? So
Yeah.
that's kind of the thing ultimately, is like, is the randomness the problem, or is the FOMO? And
I think a lot of it is the design of like forcing that feeling of FOMO and having the like 50 currencies that you have to keep track of. Like there are just certain types of people that struggle to sort of like interpret that kind of stuff, and that is exactly the type of people they want to like, have being spending money and stuff like that. So that's what sort of like I don't like about gacha games, is just how they're, I mean, yeah, predatory, I guess, is like definitely a way to describe like how they are for certain types of people. Some people obviously, like, it feels like you and I we just said we're in triple digits, but it's like I'm generally okay not spending money. I can say no to a character. Like, but there are definitely people who cannot. So
I'm not here to call out writers on other websites, but I'm just saying Austin Wood on our sister site, Games Radar, I think is a notorious gacha gamer and gacha spender, I believe. If the rumors are true.
Wow. Yeah.
Sorry, Austin.
Sorry, Austin. Yeah, but some people definitely spend more than others, and I mean that's how they keep going, right? They keep going.
Yep.
Off the whales that are dumping like thousands of bucks into like one game every month, which you definitely have to, I think you have to trust yourself, and you have to be like, will I be able to play this game and not spend an extortionate amount of money? If the answer is yes, if you can like self police yourself in that way, then like go for it.
I think a lot of in your character composition.
A lot of gacha games are genuinely really interesting concepts. A lot of gacha games are really, you take the gacha kind of aspect away from it, and it's a really good game.
That's my thing constantly with MiHoYo specifically, is like I wish they would just make like an action game or a turn-based game. They don't, if they didn't have the gacha stuff in it, their games would be really good.
Just sell me a $30
yeah, I would just spend
game.
normal money for these things. I would buy like DLC character packs or whatever. Like their games are extremely like that. I think that's really why they blew up so big, is they're really good, but then they just also have this gacha stuff, which I like. Ultimately, as much as I love like Honkai and stuff like that, I just wish they just didn't have those systems in there. It would make it an even better game.
I would love Genshin if it was a single player.
Yeah, right. Like
game. Yeah. If it was a single player, not live.
I think it would be.
I would have kept
even
playing
bigger.
It longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just need to make a spin-off. Do a spin-off.
Yeah.
Do a Genshin spin-off that's basically what you're doing now, but just don't make me get resources. Don't make me go and bug random players for their like map like resources. I jump into, can I have your flowers? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay. Like I can't do the daily resource collection. I can't do the hour spent doing whatever. I would love to just play a game. I mean, I know Breath of the Wild exists. Shut up. I know Breath of the Wild exists. You listening right now, shut up. I know.
You have to play Link, though.
Yeah, you have to play Link.
Yeah.
I want to play.
And I don't want to be him.
Who wants to be
Link is not husbando material.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I think people would argue
that fandom, because I feel like that's a lot closer to the gacha fandom than you realize. For
Hey,
Breath of the
to me,
Wild specifically.
Link is not husbando material, in my opinion. Give
Brave.
me like Breath of the Wild with like D-Look in it, or like Zhongli. Oh my god, put Zhongli in Breath of the Wild. I'll play the shit out of that.
A lot of people would.
Yeah.
Okay, so gacha games, we need spin-offs. We need premium game spin-offs. We need people who are entering into them for the first time. Be very careful about monetization. Like, know what you're getting into. Honkai Star Rail and Nikkei, those are the favorites here right now. And I personally am in danger if they keep branching out into more genres and they decide to do something that's even close to Animal Crossing. I thought they couldn't get me. Maybe they're going to get me. That's terrifying. Oh no. Thank you, Tyler, for coming on and talking through all of this with us.
Thanks for having me.
As usual, you can read all of our news, reviews, guides, opinions, all that great stuff, and Mollie and Tyler talking about gacha games on PCGamer.com. And you will be able to talk with Mollie and I about this episode at forums.pcgamer.com. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.